And a very good morning to you, Grenada, and the rest of the world. It's a Wednesday morning here on the Spice Hour. Wednesday morning, the 23rd day of January 2019. I'm George Grant, and let's get going on today's edition of Good Day Grenada. Boy, do I have a fun program for you this morning. Apart from the fact that we're going to be joined by our good buddy out there from Pity Martinique, who's actually all the way up in Florida, probably picking oranges. I don't know. Anyway, Sharon's going to be joining us in just a wee bit. But we're going to turn things around a little bit this morning. I got some incredible stuff to show to you, and we'll do that while we're chatting with Sherron. So let's take a look at the rundown. First of all, will the CLICO building that's on Yonge Street down the road there, will that house the local courts? For sure. We're going to find that out in a wee bit. I also, that's actually what you're hearing there is actually going to be a release which came from the Grenada Bar Association. I also have a release from the unions, Technical and Allied Workers Union. They say that unions say government is responsible for the work to rule. Huh? Told you this thing's going to dragging on. We also have the national report, and then of course, as I mentioned, we're going to be chatting with Sherron Roberts-Wiltshire out there in Florida. Now, I mentioned to you that we're going to turn things around a little bit this morning. And what I was referring to is the fact that, you know, we usually have a little tete-a-tete before we get into the national report. We usually try and brief you on things that are going on around the place. This morning, I am actually going to run for you the national report first. And the reason for that is that the two releases that I just told you about from the Grenada Bar Association and the unions, they are essentially responding to what you are going to be hearing in the national report. So I thought, let's run the national report first thing this morning. So said, so done.
A new home is identified to house Grenada's law courts. Details to this story and more coming up in the national report. Welcome back with the details to the news for today, Tuesday, January 22nd. I am Wendy Edmond. The Grenada government has identified a new home to house the country's law courts. Attorney General Dashan Ramdani announced Tuesday during the government's weekly post-cabinet briefing that the CLICO building on Yonge Street will be leased to house 4 courts and judges' chambers and administrative offices. Adequate facilities for the country's courts have been an issue for several months, and government has explored several options to resolve the matter. The Attorney General says that the lease arrangements are currently being finalized and the building retrofitted to accommodate the courts.
I am pleased to be the bearer of good tidings when I say that we are on the cusp of resolving this issue. The government has agreed to lease space, a building in Yonge Street, that is the CLICO building. Those arrangements are being finalized as we speak,
Mr. Ramdani says government has been working consistently for months to find a new home for the law courts since it was moved from the old Lime building on the Carnage due to health and environmental concerns.
For a brief period last year, there was the use of the CLICO building to house one of the civil courts and the Court of Appeal. All of this meant that the administration had been diverting funds for other important matters into securing new facilities for the court. You may not realize I am in this singular position where I have been on the outside like you, looking on, seeing on the outside the efforts of the administration. I am now placed on the inside. And as Attorney General, I intend to be playing an integral technical part in these matters. The Minister of Legal Affairs is very concerned about this, and so is the administration.
2 criminal and 2 civil courts will be housed at the CLICO building.
There will be some retrofitting to be done. We expect that there will be 4 courts housed in that building, 2 civil courts and 2 criminal courts, of course with the judges' chambers and the other administrative things in place.
Finding a new home for the courts demonstrates government's commitment to good governance and the administration of justice. And in response to this development, the Grenada Bar Association has issued a statement saying it looks forward to the successful conclusion of the process, as well as the speedy and proper execution of repairs and outfitting works which will be necessary before the High Courts may commence occupation. In this other story, the Grenada government announced Tuesday that it is making plans to host the Grenada Secondary School Games in March this year to ensure that students are not deprived of any opportunity to showcase their talents. Government's decision is in response to the cancellation of the Intercol Games by the Grenada Association of Principals of Secondary Schools. Making the announcement at this week's post-cabinet press briefing, Minister for Education, Honorable Emmeline Pearce, said the staging of national games should not be dependent on the industrial climate.
We do not believe that as responsible citizens, we do not believe as a responsible government that the children of our nation should be held hostage in this regard, should pay the price for whatever is happening between government and the union.
Minister Pearce says Intercol has been an excellent opportunity for students to showcase their talent at the national level, since scouts from various parts of the world have visited during the games to witness the performance of the students. She added that many of our students have had the opportunity to attend colleges and universities overseas because of their athletic ability.
I am certain that many of these students, if not all of them, may not have had the opportunity if they would have had to compete with all of the other students for scholarship on an academic basis, which means that sports would have been integral to their achievements academically and the opportunities that they have received. To not provide these students with that opportunity, to me, is denying ordinary poor children of our society an opportunity to pull their families out of poverty. It's denying them an opportunity to lift themselves up, and indeed denying them that opportunity to have a chance to succeed in life. As a government, we believe that we do have the means and the structure in place through the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Sports to do this.
Further details of the Grenada Secondary School Games will be disclosed during an upcoming press conference, the date for which will be announced. Notwithstanding the cancellation of Intercol 2019, Minister Pearce congratulated the Principals Association for its excellent work over the years to ensure the growth and development of the annual games. More efforts are being pursued to strengthen Grenada's education system. Minister for Education and Human Resource Development, Honorable Emlyn Pear, says an Education Advisory Council and Review Committee are being established. Details from Annette Moore.
The Government of Grenada, the Cabinet, would have approved last week Monday and confirmed yesterday the establishment of an Advisory Council and an Education Review Committee. Those two, which according to Section 9 and 178 respectively of the Education Act, should have been in place. As a matter of fact, the Review Board should have been over the years reviewing our education system, should have been reporting to the Minister for Education in the form of a report. That report should have been tabled by the Minister of Education in Parliament and published publicly. So we are now moving to do so, and Cabinet would have approved Mr. Michael Pear as the chairman of that committee.
The Education Act No. 21 of 2002, Section 178(1), provides for Cabinet, on the recommendation of the Minister for Education, to appoint an 8-member Education Review Committee every 5 years, whose main task will be to review and report on the education system in Grenada. The Education Review Committee consists of the chairperson, a person who has knowledge or expertise in education, a member from the National Parent-Teacher Association, 1 member from a board of management, a member from each organization concerned with community development, industry and commerce, and professional services, 1 member from the Grenada Union of Teachers, and another appointed by the Minister on the advice of Cabinet. According to Section 179 of the Education Act, the Education Review Committee must review and report on the physical condition and maintenance of all educational institutions in Grenada, the suitability of the curriculum, the performance of students in specified assessments, annual examinations set and marked by individual schools, and examinations set by the Caribbean Examinations Council, the organization of the ministry and its delivery of education services, the teaching service, and the number, quality, and performance of teachers and other matters pertaining to the enhancement of education in Grenada. With regards to the Advisory Council, according to Section 9 of the Education Act, the Council must be comprised of the principal of the T.A. Marisho Community College or a representative, a resident tutor of the University of the West Indies, 2 members nominated by the Grenada Union of Teachers, 2 by the Central Board of Management, and 2 by the business and professional community, 1 member nominated by the Early Education Council, 1 by the National Parent-Teacher Association, 1 by the National Students' Council, and another by Special Education. Additionally, 2 members must be appointed by the Minister for Education. The Advisory Council must advise the Minister on matters for which the Minister is responsible under the Education Act, and their duties include advising the Minister of the making of regulations on the training of teachers, the choice of textbooks, curricula, and more. For the National Report, I'm Annette Moore.
This is the National Report. More news when we return.
We are back with you to continue the work. We need you to improve our Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. On the road to national sustainable development, we're back.
So how can we invest more in the sporting arena to bridge that gap for a lot of young people?
I think there should be more forums like this.
We need to find a way in which to combat that. Now,
join us for the next National Sustainable Development Plan 2035 Contributors Forum at the Grenada Boys Secondary School, January 24th, 7 p.m.
Welcome back with the National Reports. The Ministry of Education has a new Chief Education Officer. He is Mr. David Andrew, who has been an educator for more than 20 years. Mr. Andrew, who was most recently employed as a school counselor with the Ministry of Education, Human Resource Development, and Religious Affairs, assumed his new duties on Tuesday, January 22nd. We get more details from Annette Moore.
As of yesterday, the Public Service Commission has appointed Mr. David Andrew to the position of Chief Education Officer within the Ministry of Education. As we speak, I believe Mr. Andrew is being officially introduced to the staff at the ministry. Mr. Andrew would have worked in the Ministry of Education for the past couple of years, and previous to that would have been attached to one of our secondary schools.
David Andrew has been an educator for the past 25 years. He has served at some of Grenada's secondary schools and other learning institutions, including being a teacher at the Grenville Secondary School in St. Andrew for 10 years. Andrew is a trained counseling therapist, having studied at the Caribbean Nazarene College in Trinidad and Tobago. He holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in General Studies with a concentration in psychology and also a master's degree in counseling. In 2017, Andrew was awarded the Clinical Network Conference Scholastic Achievement Award, which is presented to an alumni or student of the Caribbean Nazarene College who has advanced the caring profession by outstanding clinical or community service and made a noticeable difference in the quality of life for many people. Andrew most recently served as a school counselor in District 4 with the Student Support Services Unit of the Ministry of Education, Human Resource Development and Religious Affairs. He was based at the St. Andrews Anglican Secondary School with responsibility for providing clinical supervision to the counselling assistants and guidance officers in the St. David District and some in the St. Andrew District. Additionally, Andrew served as the team leader for the UNICEF-funded project Child Friendly Schools. Andrew has previously worked with the government of Trinidad and Tobago as a guidance counselor to schools, with the Youth Correctional Facility, and as a psychologist with one of the leading employee assistance program providers, Elder Associates Limited. For the National Report, I'm Annette Moore.
And that was the National Report for today, Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019. On behalf of all of us in the newsroom, I am Wendy Edmond, thanking you for joining.
Okie dokie, there you have yesterday's edition of the National Report. Now, while you were listening to that, and before I get into the responses from the Grenada Bar Association and the unions, I want to share with you some comments that have been appearing here on Facebook. First of all, Margaret says she hopes that everything's well. Fine, Margaret. Good to see you. TF is saying good morning to you, Crusaders. Sometimes you're family, sometimes you're Crusaders. Goodness knows who next. Anthony DeRigg says, good morning, George. Did they stop to think that students might boycott the games in solidarity with their teachers, especially the students of teachers? Margaret says, hey, that's an excellent point. Sharon also says, and Sharon's going to be joining us in just a wee bit, she says, Anthony DeRiggs, that's exactly what I was thinking. Great minds think alike. T.F. Richard says, the Prime Minister and his people need to stop taking every one of us for fools and stop trying to push the fools further. Firstly, repair York House and make that area the official halls of justice. And secondly, give to Caesar what is due to him and stop trying to put children and the wider public against the unions. So says TF in response to the National Report. Lincoln says we should be respectful at all times. Using derogatory language is just a way of saying who you are. Good day to all. Good day to you too, Lincoln Roberts. Good to see you. And finally, Ashton Fletcher says, a pleasant good morning, George. Greetings from Louisville, Kentucky once again. Good to see you, man. Grenadians need to remember that absolute power breeds absolute corruption. Now, so says Facebook so far. Now, let me get to the response from the Grenada Bar Association. The Bar Association has taken note of today's press reports of government. And by the way, hold on a minute. Let me put the brakes on here for just a minute. You may have noticed a report in the GIS about, the fact that CLICO might be the building where they're eventually going to wind up. Well, the report only told you a part, I repeat, a part of what the Grenada Bar Association had to say in their release yesterday. So, in all fairness, I thought I should read you their report verbatim, or their statement, okay? The Grenada Bar Association has taken note of today's press reports of government's securing of the CLICO building on Yonge Street in St. George as a temporary court facility. The bar has been and continues to be an integral part of the ongoing process between the government of Grenada and CLICO to secure a lease agreement for that purpose. The bar looks forward to the successful conclusion of that process, as well as the speedy and proper execution of repairs and outfitting works which will be necessary before the High Courts may commence occupation. Having regard to the recent debacle when similar pronouncements were made about another location with a disappointing outcome, the bar urges prudence as lease arrangements have not yet been concluded and signed. Once this occurs, the bar will continue to play an active and responsible supporting role to ensure that the building is commissioned for use in the shortest possible time. The bar cautions that while this may represent an important development, it is by no means a final solution. The association will therefore continue its advocacy role concerning the other elements of the judicial system which still cry out for urgent attention as we look forward to the realization of a permanent hall of justice for the people of Grenada. Okay? That's the full statement which came from the Grenada Bar Association yesterday. Now, shift gears a wee bit. Let's talk about this work to rule issue. You also heard about that in the national report. Well, TAU issued a release yesterday which was captioned, "Government is responsible for work to rule. Return teachers' pay." That's the caption. Now the text. As leader of the unions and staff associations negotiating team, I call upon the Grenada government to show leadership, understanding, and compassion by taking the necessary steps to bring an immediate end to the work to rule actions engaged in by the Grenada Union of Teachers. What is the step? Immediately restore the salaries that were maliciously deducted from the teachers and other public officers as a result of the struggle for pension and gratuity. In a total display of arrogance and abuse of power, the government maliciously and insensitively docked the workers' pay, hoping that it would cripple the resolve of workers to fight. What the government failed to properly consider is that, quote, when you throw a pebble in a pond. You do not have control over the ripples, unquote. The government must be held responsible now that the ripple effects have started to be felt, with the cancellation of several school sporting events and extracurricular activities. The government said, no work, no pay, which has provoked the response, no pay, no work. I am certain that the work to rule action of the GUT is not a decision that was taken lightly. After all, the teachers of our nation have always demonstrated, without fail, that they are an integral part of the lives of our nation's children. Teachers have always demonstrated their love and care for the all-round development of our children. Teachers have always demonstrated love and care for our children. Teachers have always gone beyond the call of duty without getting or looking for any monetary rewards. The government must accept that they were very short-sighted and insensitive when they deducted the public officers' pay, especially in the Christmas season, when it is traditional for most of us to be engaged in extra spending to bring joy and happiness to our loved ones. The government must be held responsible for the financial challenges faced by the children and loved ones of our teachers and public officers who had less to spend during the Christmas season as a result of the malicious deductions of salaries. I call upon the government of Grenada to end the work to rule actions of the Grenada Union of Teachers. This can easily be done by government immediately, returning the salaries that were deducted. The ball is in government's court. Okay? Okay. That's the full statement that was issued by the President General of the Technical and Allied Workers Union, Andre Lewis. He's also heading up the unions team that's the team that's representing the unions in negotiations with the government of Grenada. 28 minutes after the hour, folks. 28 minutes after the hour. Now, let me take a little break here, and we're going to come back with good old Sherron Roberts out there in Florida.
Together with you, our customers, we energize our community.
Together with you, we energize our economy.
We are working together to give our nation a better tomorrow.
With you, we energize our future. Together, we energize our nation.
Thank you for partnering with us as we energize our Speyside.
Renlec, energizing our Grenada.
With free island-wide delivery, Hubbard's Building Supplies and Lumber Departments continue to provide the best quality lumber, steel, tiles, plumbing materials, electrical and general hardware supplies at competitive prices. We continually consult with builders, homeowners and contractors to improve product range and services. Enjoy discounts where applicable, including the use of credit and debit cards. At Hubbard's Building Supplies, Grandance and Lumber Department, Caranage, we offer quality service, affordable prices, giving you the convenient, reliable, free island-wide delivery. Call 440-2087 for all your home improvement and building solutions.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
All right, folks, just before I say good morning to Sherron, she has just posted something here on Facebook, reading it for the first time, so here goes. The government, by taking the stand with the teachers only 1 year since acquiring 15 seats, must be banking on the hope that Grenadians have short memories. So come next election, no one will remember how they treated the teachers and students of the nation. So says Sherron on Facebook. Now, Sherron on Facebook, you keep hearing about the Sherron on Facebook. Let me take a look at the Sherron on Facebook. Look at that. Hello, Sherron.
Good morning, George. Good morning, everybody.
How are you doing, girl?
I'm good.
You're good. You're good. You're good. Look at that big smile, man. You know, I tell you, the folks on WeEKDAY need to learn a lesson from you. It seems like every time I talk to you, you have a different backdrop, a new set. You know, it's like, boy, you must have a lot of money building all of these sets to appear on this program.
Man, I'm back in Fort Lauderdale.
And she's getting...
So I'm all over the place. I was in where was I last week? I can't even remember. I was up with my brother Lincoln, and now I'm down at my sister. And next week I'm gonna be somewhere else, but I'm not gonna tell you where until I see you on Wednesday.
In short, you're coming home.
No.
Sherron, listen, girl. I want to use some of your time this morning to share with our viewers a really beautiful sight. You know, for the past few days we've been talking about the Billfish tournament, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, they got started yesterday. They were actually out fishing yesterday, and I'm not going to show you what happened yesterday. I want to show you some of what happened this morning. Today is the day they actually had their parade around the carnage. Have you ever seen that?
Once, and I was so looking forward to it this morning, and thanks to Ricardo Kings Douglas, I saw some shots.
You saw some shots? Well, listen, girl, listen, forget about some shots and take a look at some video. I have to explain to our listeners right off the bat that the video that you're looking at, I shot this at about 5 to 7 this morning. They left the lagoon at about 6:45, and this little piece here runs about 5 minutes. You know, look at those yachts. Can you see them?
No, not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Well, the yachts are going around the lagoon there, and hear this, pilgrims. Hear this. There were a lot of yachts. A record of 40, a record 74 boats with over 400 anglers and sailing enthusiasts from Barbados, Trinidad, which is where the biggest contingent came from. I think there were 34 from Trinidad alone, Martinique, St. Lucia, Guadeloupe, St. Vincent, and the United States. They have all teamed up here, Sherron, for 5 days of fishing. Today is day number 2 out on the water. And what you're actually looking at right now is and that's the early part. You know, that's like the first few minutes of the parade that took place this morning. Like I said, they left the yacht club at 6:45, started coming around the carnage, and then they went out for the Bimini start, which is another spectacular sight. And we're going to show you just moments after the start what took place in that. Wouldn't you like to be out there? Beautiful day like this. Wouldn't you like to be out there on the water with them?
Well, you know, I'm from Pitamatic, so I love the sea. I love boats. So yes, I would.
I guess, you know, the people of Petit Martinique must be seafaring people. It's so crazy that a lot of us live on this island of Grenada, and would you believe that there are a lot of people in this place who can't swim?
Yes, I believe that.
But it's not.
I can't swim.
You can. Well, thank you very much for your honesty, Sherron. Actually, you know, I keep telling people I'm not sure if I can swim or not. You give me a pair of flippers, and you could throw me in the middle of the Atlantic, and I will be fine. I'll be fine. I'll swim to either Europe or the Caribbean. But you take those flippers away, and down goes Georgie Porgy. I don't know. I think it's something psychological.
It must be.
Yeah?
because you're doing the same action with
Exactly. But why is it I'm so confident with the flippers? And yeah, so what you're looking at there is the parade. Now, enough of that. I'm going to show you here about a clip that's about a minute long, and this was just after they fired the shot to get the tournament started. Watch this. Take a look at that off in the distance there. Now, when you look at that picture, you don't see 74 boats. There were 74 boats taking part in this thing. But a lot of the others were off to the right of that picture. So, there you have it. The Bimini start. I don't know how good the fishing is. I didn't get down there yesterday afternoon, but I would imagine a lot of people on the way home during the tournament will stop by the yacht club just to check and see, you know, what they brought in, if they brought in anything, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Well, what people have to remember is that, as far as I could remember regarding the rules of what you bring in, you could only bring in record-breaking.
That's right.
Lengths, right?
That's right. That's right.
So the way they've been fishing the waters, I wonder how much they'll bring in. I bet it's not very much.
Yeah. Well, I hope they're gonna. I'm sure they're gonna break records. I mean, with 74. Last year they had what, about 54, 55. So you got about.
Do you know how far out they go?
You know, some of these guys go quite a distance out. I'm not sure the exact distance, but quite a distance out. Quite a distance. Yesterday afternoon, I watched some of them coming back in about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And somebody sent me some video of the yachts coming back in, but I wanted to show this morning, because we only have limited time, I wanted to show the actual parade. So, Sherron, talk to me about Petit Martinique, girl. Talk to me.
Well, you know, that's the love. That's where my heart is.
I know.
Yeah. In Petit Martinique, the way people have cars in Grenada, that's how they have boats over there. You know,
how many cars do you have on Petit Martinique?
I am not sure right now, but it may be about 10 or so. But, there was a time when there was 0. So I think 10 is a lot.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, we have so much traffic congestion here. I think we better offload some of our cars and send them up to Petit Martinique. What say you?
No. We don't have the space for that. Remember, our roads were not should I say our road. There's one circular road and there are few branching off, you know. But I don't think they were designed for vehicles. So because of that, the weight of the vehicles now breaking up the roads. So
Okay.
and of course, like everything else, the government not upkeeping the roads.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our problem. So no, thank you. Keep your cars in Grenada.
Yeah, it would be set.
On Grenada, I should say.
Pardon me?
I should say on Grenada instead of in Grenada, because Peter Martinique is in Grenada.
Yeah.
But the cars are on the island of Grenada, not the state.
You know, I think if you had too many more cars on the island, it would take away from the beauty of that little island. It's such a priceless little island.
Definitely.
Lydia James here, by the way. I think you have a friend who's watching you this morning. She says, good morning, Sherron. Good seeing you after such a long time. More vehicles than people in Grenada. And she's right about that.
I remember going to an event at Beauséjour. Is it the state? I don't know what you call it. They have their playing field. And the amount of vehicles I saw, when I got inside, they were like just a handful of people. So I tell them, I say, it seemed like everybody came driving 2 vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Grenada I mean, no matter what time of the day, traffic jam. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Margaret says, Pity Martinique ain't need no cars to spoil and pollute the place. Walking is good exercise.
And I agree with her.
She got a point there. She got a point. Yeah, yeah.
They need, I mean, when you have to get groceries from the supermarket to your house, you need transport. You need, you have kids and you take them to the doctor sometimes. I remember when I lived on the island a couple of years ago, 3 of my kids are very close in age. So they were like 1, 2, 3. And there was this flu going around and I had to take them to the doctor. Now I live in the opposite end of the island from where the clinic is. And struggling with 3 sick babies. It was not funny. I remember having 2 in a pushchair and carrying 1. And I was crying because I was so exhausted. And one of my father's cousin was coming down, and she had a cutlass. She was going to do some work, and she stuck the cutlass in the ground, and she took one of the babies from me. And I so appreciated what she did, because you do need some form of transport, but I cannot see the need for all that amount.
Do you have a medical clinic on the island?
We have a medical clinic. We have a doctor comes up once a week on Wednesdays. And it used to be so frustrating, because if you go to the hospital or the clinic in Carriacou on a different day other than Wednesday, they get upset with you and say, well, the doctor is coming on Wednesday. Can you wait? Or couldn't you have gone, depending on the time, you know? And you don't decide when you get sick. And it became easier to avoid all this conflict. The people of Peter Martinique, some of them would go to Union Island, which is in St. Vincent, to the doctor, because they welcome you and don't give you that sort of hassle.
Wow, wow, wow. You know,
so they treat us very, very badly.
It's hard to believe. You're talking about a doctor going to the island once a week on a Wednesday. What if something happened to me on Thursday? Do I have to wait the whole week until I see another doctor?
Well, there's a nurse there. So if it's very urgent, she would send you to Carriacou. But if you just decide, well, I'm going to a doctor, you have to go to a private doctor. There are private doctors in Carriacou. But to go to a doctor in a clinic, they rough you up.
Wow, that's great. And then you have to get on these, I call them cigarette boats, these little boats that run between Carriacou, Petit Martinique Union. They're cigarette boats, right?
Right.
Okay. So you dump the patient on one of those and off you go.
Yeah, because it takes you just 5 minutes from Petit Martinique to Winmore. if somebody driving real fast. You take you a little more. But you know, I learned to drive one of those by what we call brute force.
Pardon me?
I learned to drive one of those cigarette boats.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I had to, because I went to a meeting in Carriacou and I was coordinator for Pitamatic Affairs. And when it was time to go back up, the driver of the boat wasn't feeling well, and it was either stay in Carriacou or drive the boat. So that was my baptism by fire. Yeah. After that, whenever I was on the boat, they gave me the wheel.
You know, you talk about running between Petit Martinique and Windward, which is where they basically commute. When I went to do the program in Petit Martinique, we had a beautiful ride over. It was a nice sunny day, just like it is here today. But on the way back, my friend, we had some nasty, and I mean nasty weather. And this little boat came, and we wanted to wait it out, wait until the weather improved. But the guy who was driving this boat, he said, "Hey, come on, man, forget it, just jump on." Sherron, we jumped on this boat, and we could not see Carriacou is just a stone throw away from Petit Martinique. You could not even see Carriacou. Man, let me tell you, I have never held on to anything as tightly as I held on to that boat. And pray, boy, that was quite a ride. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. We only saw Carriacou just as we were about to dock. And yet, wow. And this guy's not using navigation aids like pilots do and stuff like that, you know. He just knows Carriacou is there, and we're going to find it. I admire
because coming out of Windward could be very tricky because you have a lot of reef. And I remember going to the jetty in Windward to pick up the Prime Minister and Mr. Nimrod, that's Dr. Mitchell. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Mitchell jumped on the boat, and Mr. Nimrod looked and he said, "Who's driving the boat?" I said, "I am." And he stepped back. He was afraid to get on the boat. But he got on the boat, and then he was asking me, but because he's from Carriacou, right? So he knows about the reefs. Mm-hmm. So he said, "How are you getting out of here?" So I showed him, I said, "You've seen Petit St. Vincent and you know the area. So when you're coming out of Windward, you can see Petit St. Vincent. And in order to avoid the reef, you look at a rock we call Sail Rock. And you go straight towards Sail Rock. And when Sail Rock disappears behind Petit St. Vincent, you turn into Petit Martinique."
Navigation at its finest. But I guess, you know, pretty much everybody who has grown up on Petit Martinique, they're seafaring people, aren't they?
That's right.
Yeah.
And you know something, to the women who are listening, who are mothers, you know what it is to go through child's birth. Imagine you're going to labor on Petit Martinique and have to go into a boat to go to Windward to get to the hospital. You know the amount of children in Petit Martinique who are born in boats, and some born in the house of the first person you get to when you get to Windward? Mm-hmm. Quite a lot.
Yeah. There's a note here from a couple of notes. First of all, T.F. Richard says, "George, I don't know if Sherron would agree, but I think that Petit Martinique would be a nice place to invest in a lovely honeymoon destination. Nothing too big to spoil the area, but to bring some economic activity and also show off this beautiful island. What say you, girl?"
Definitely.
Yeah.
He's trying to get into my head and know my secrets, but let's leave it there.
Hear that, TF? Becoming macocious. Then Margaret says, and Margaret is talking about the vehicles, Margaret says, "I'll concede 1 or 2 emergency vehicles for situations like that, and a shuttle for delivering groceries." Now, I have to tell you, I went into a little grocery store, actually, and it's part of a sort of resort. This is run by the lady named, I think her name is Odinga Blair.
Yeah,
She has a little supermarket which I'm surprised was pretty well stocked. Is there another one on the island, or is that just hers? Is hers the only one?
There are actually about I think three, about three supermarkets, or there are a couple of shops and so, but three decent supermarkets that you could get almost anything there. There was a time when going up to Pitamatic for the week, I would go up with groceries, but now I don't do that. I go and I whatever money I spend goes back into the community. And talking about going to Pitamatic, I'm seriously planning to go up on the 17th of March. And I realize it's a Sunday. That's the feast of St. Patrick, when we do the sugaring of the piton.
Okay. Now, Margaret also goes on to say here, or pedicabs. Margaret, explain to me what a pedicab is, like a pedicure. I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. You mentioned to me, I think it was in one of our previous conversations, that you only have one policeman on the island?
I think there are two.
There are two now. Okay, and your population is what, about 900?
About 900.
About 900. Boy, you people must be well behaved if you've got only two cops to man the fort.
Well, remember there was a time when we had zero.
Yeah?
So for many years. It's just recently, like when I say recently, in the last 20 years or so, that we didn't even know what they were supposed to do on the island.
So that's your way of saying that crime is virtually non-existent on the island?
We had a little, and it was mostly people who come on the island from the neighboring islands. Because and then we had one occasion when there was somebody who had a mental problem who gave some trouble. But it's stuff that the people could take care of. When you had disagreement in the past, you would go to the headmaster, who 9 out of 10 times was a justice of the peace, and would sit with both people and work out the problem. Because remember that mostly everybody there related to each other.
You said headmaster, so I'm assuming you've only got one school on the island?
Yeah. Yes, we have one school.
Okay.
So to go to secondary school, we have to go to Carriacou or Grenada.
No, hold on. Let me ask you this: for a child to go to school, a child goes to school 5 days a week, so you have to jump on a boat to go to school every day.
Every day, every day. Most of the children, you may find one or two, if you have a relative, a close relative, like maybe an uncle or aunt on Carriacou, may spend a week there. But most of the children, every morning at 7 o'clock, they leave Pitamatic to go to Carriacou and come back up in the afternoon.
Now, granted, it's only like a 5-10 minute ride across, but what happens on days, Sherron? I mean, these boats are little cigarette boats. They don't have shelter per se. So what happens on a day when it's pouring cats and dogs? These kids arrive in Carriacou soaking wet and then have to go and sit in the classroom?
No, they don't go under cigarettes. There are two boats that that's used for that has a downstairs, and they go down there. But most of the kids like riding outside anyway.
Okay.
But there are boats that you can go under the deck.
Okay. Okay, wow.
Yeah, but what happened is when the weather is bad during the hurricane season, like for example, on the 17th of November, 1999, I don't know if you remember Hurricane Lenny, that had passed and got into the Caribbean Sea and then came back and caused a lot of surge. And it was the most amazing thing to see when the children came back up from Carriacou, because when they went down the morning, it was not as bad as when they came back up in the afternoon. And the men had to make a line. And you know, like when you're wetting a house with buckets and you're passing it down the line, that's how they had to pass the children off the boats. Somebody throw a child off and The men catch them and just pass them down the line to get off the train.
Wow. And you people still thrive.
It's terrible.
Here's a little humor on Facebook. Lincoln Roberts says, the cops play cards and dominoes, then drink, eat, sleep, and wait for the next day. The best place on earth.
No, when it was Lincoln's turn to go to secondary school, he had to move to Grenada.
Oh, you know Lincoln?
That's my brother. That's my big brother.
Okay. Oh, right.
Yeah, that's one of my big brothers.
Oh.
And that's why the family had to be moved to Petit Martinique eventually, because we had the first five were in Grenada going to secondary school, and when it was my turn and the turn of the one just before me, it was better to just move the whole family.
Okay. Well, Sherron. He says it's the best place on earth, and I'm looking forward to sampling some more of that best place on earth very, very soon. Thanks a lot, girl.
All right.
We're gonna sort of pull the curtain down this morning by giving those who may have missed the early part of the program where we did the parade of the yachts taking off. Let's just show them some more video, eh? Look at that. Okay, off to the right of your screen there. Yes sirree. Beautiful sight as they came around. And Sherron, we're going to talk to you next week, girl. You have yourself a great remainder of the week, and I can't wait to find out what this big surprise you have for us is. But,
it wouldn't be in your office, in your studio, I promise.
Pardon me?
It will not be in your studio, I promise.
But you are coming to the studio when you get back.
The following week.
Yeah, the following week. Okay. Thanks a lot, my friend. Sherron Roberts speaking to us there from Florida. Thank you, my friend. And just about time to pull the curtain down. Let's take one quick little break here, and we'll come on back and wrap it up.
Hey, Lynn.
Hey, neighbor.
Here's the bill I asked you to pay for me.
How did you get your electricity bill to be so low?
For one, we size our transformers just for what we need. And we unplug transformers, chargers, and other devices when they're not in use. We also replaced our light bulbs with LEDs.
They burn less energy, right?
Much less. I even replaced the seal on my refrigerator door to keep the cold air in.
And GRENADA is always advising us not to open the fridge too often.
That's right. And my family washes and irons in bulk.
With fuel prices changing all the time, how do you know if it is working?
We pay attention to the usage history table. Over time, our average usage has decreased.
So while GRENADA can't control fuel prices, I can conserve energy and save money.
GRENADA, energizing our Grenada.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Alrighty, folks, just about time to go bye-bye, but here is a little sound advice for you before we pull the plug this morning from Matthew chapter 6, 19, 20, and 21. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Pilgrims, Matthew chapter 6, 19 to 21. And on that note, I'm going to say thank you so much, those of you on Facebook, for joining us. Program's also going to be up on YouTube in just a wee bit. God's blessings coming your way, my dear friends, and by His grace, we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9.